I'm Laura Chambliss, one of the science and math consultants at St. Clair County RESA. The classroom you're about to see is an 8th grade co-taught classroom that is promoting inclusion for students with disabilities. This is my first time meeting these students, although I've been working with their teachers for a couple of years during trainings of their new science curriculum. The lesson you're about to see was developed with two main objectives. The first objective was to introduce students to beginning skills that they will need for the science portion of the ACT, reading graphs and charts. And the second objective was to model how to use claims and evidence to build student understanding. Claims and evidence have been added to their journaling by the Battle Creek Science Kits in the last couple of years. Other teaching techniques that I've added to my lesson are learning targets, starting and ending with those, and using cooperative learning with the Think, Pair, Shares, and some time management strategies. To engage students, I chose a high-interest graph that was relevant to their age by using a graph that shows the average number of monthly texts and phone calls. If you would like more information on teaching graphing skills using claims and evidence, learning targets, or cooperative learning, please contact me at St. Clair County RESA or visit my proto page. My name's Mrs. Chambliss and I'm from RESA. I have a wonderful job where I get to come in and work with teachers and students in the whole county, and Marysville has let me come in and work with all the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade teachers on writing claims and evidence, and that's what our session is today, is writing claims and evidence. We're going to use a double line graph, which you see on your pink page right there, to write our claims and evidence. I have a learning target for you, and if my computer was working it would show you that today what we're going to do in about a 20-25 minute lesson is we're going to write 3 claims and evidences. How many are we going to write, everyone? 3. Okay, so that's our goal for today, and we're going to use our double line graph. I have a question at the top of the claims and evidence page right here, because this is what we want to keep in mind when we're looking at our graph and looking for claims and evidence. I want you to read that question to yourself right now. So we need to find out the relationship, what relationship does the double line graph have? A positive, a negative, or no relationship? First of all, does anybody know what relationship, positive, negative, or no relationship even mean? Does anybody know what they mean? Good. So we get to teach you something there too. So we're going to today learn about claims and evidence, but we're also going to learn about the relationship this graph has, whether it's a positive, negative, or no relationship. So what you need to do first here is just take about, like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, look at the graph and see what it's telling you. Because before you can even answer any questions, you need to look at it and study it a little bit and say, read the title, read the numbers. What do the numbers tell us? What do those lines mean? So go ahead and take 30 seconds, please. So what is this graph telling you? What I want you to do is turn to your elbow partner, and if you're in a group of 3, if you want to go over to this one, or you two can just go make a group of 3 there, that way. Why don't you do that? Turn around and make a group of 3. You can make a group of 3 right here, okay? And then in the back, why don't you find, you have 2 people there, so you can either make groups of 3 there or come together as a partner, whichever you want to do, but make up your mind quick, okay? I'm going to give you about 30 seconds. Talk to your partners there on what this graph is telling you. Go. This is my quiet signal, so when you hear it, please stop and face me. It means I need your attention right away. Somebody tell me what you or your partner said about this graph. What is it telling us? Yes? Cell phones. Texting. Yeah, texting is going up, it looks like, and the calls that people are making are going down. The bills. What do you mean by the bills? Number of billed SMSs. An SMS is just short for a text message. Okay, so it's the number of text messages and the number of calls. So that's what the two lines we're looking at. What else can you tell me about this graph? Average monthly in that, so it's where did you see average yeah, in the title, the average number of monthly texts per phone call. Okay?
It's between
13 and 17-year-olds. These are people your ages that this graph is made from. Anything else? What about the numbers? What can you tell me about those numbers? Okay, so if we look at the x-axis, we see we're in quarter 1, 2, 3, and 4 of 07, and quarter 1, 2, 3, 4 of 08, and quarter 1 of 09. So we're looking at 07 to 09 there in our date range. What else can you tell me about those numbers? What about those numbers on the y-axis? Talk to your partner really quick. Okay, eyes back up here. What can you tell me about those numbers on the y-axis? The number of calls and text messages. Some people mistake those for the number of people or the time length for the calls that they're making, but those are actually just, if you call me once, twice, or 3 times, that's that bottom line. And if you text me how many times, that's that top line. So that's very important to know those numbers. You see how they put the numbers on the line by the quarters, on top of those quarters, so that you can tell really quick. You don't have to guess in between those numbers on the y-axis there, do you? So it's very important that we have those numbers. So here's our learning target. You're going to write 3 claims and evidence statements on this double line graph. You're not going to do the conclusion part, but you're going to see my conclusion. So let's continue. Here's our question about the correlation, a positive, negative, or no relationship. We talked about that. And then this is what we're on right now. You've just discussed this and kind of studied what this graph is now telling us. Now we have 2 questions at the bottom. Bottom of your pink page, there's 2 questions. What does this graph tell us, and what doesn't it tell us? So you just gave me a whole bunch of things it does tell us. I want you to focus on what it doesn't tell us right now. Okay? And I'm going to give you 2 minutes with your partners to talk. Go. Okay, our time is up. What isn't this graph telling us? Yeah, it doesn't tell us the number of people.
It doesn't tell us how long, the call or the text.
Right. When I first was reading this graph and trying to make some sense out of it, I kept going back to how long the calls were, and I kept having to tell myself, wait a minute, this graph is all about how many, not how long anything is, but how many. So very good. Anything else? I had one group tell me it doesn't tell me if these are males or females. Do you think that would make a difference?
Yes.
Yeah. I don't know. A friend of mine, I was out to dinner, and a friend of mine said her son in 8th grade, 14,000 texts in 1 month. Like, I was floored, and that was a guy. So I don't know. I think that would be an interesting graph to make, is that. Okay, let's go on to our claims and evidence. Look at your white page. We made a whole bunch of claims. You're going to want your white page and your pink page together, side by side, so we can look at them both. When we make a claim, it's anything that you know. So this is what I say in my head. I know that, and then I finish writing what I know there. Evidence is I know this because, and then I finish writing this here. Evidence is anything with numbers. Okay? Anything you can back up with what you measured, and it also could be senses, but we're not going to use our senses for this activity, but we're just going to use the numbers. So point with your finger all the numbers on your paper. Those are what I'm thinking about when I think of evidence, is all the numbers on those lines. Okay? So we're going to practice here a little bit. Give me some claims and give me some evidence. So claims is just, what do you already know? We talked about this. What is this graph telling us? And then I'm going to ask you for your evidence. How do you know that? And you're going to back it up with some numbers. Okay? So I want you in your group for about 30 seconds just to give a claim. What do you know about this? And then tell your partner the numbers that tell you how you know. Go. Okay. Stop. Eyes up here. Now that you've talked about it a little bit with your groups, I want us to talk now together. What are some claims that you had from this graph? What do you know?
That the text incline and the calls decline.
The text increase and the calls decrease, correct? And can you give me evidence for that?
From the beginning of the calls, it's 255, and at the end, it's 191.
Okay, so you claim that the calls are decreasing. Your evidence was the first number in Q1 of 07 and the last number of Q1 in 09. Good job. Can you give me another claim?
Texts are increasing.
Texts are increasing. Great claim. Can you give me the evidence to match that?
From the first quarter in 2007, it was 437 to October 1st. 2009 to a.
So he said that the claim was the text is increased. First quarter of 07, it was 435, and then the first quarter of 09 went up to 2,899. Excellent claim and evidence. Give me another one.
2-year span.
2-year span, and your evidence is? Yep, 2000. Well, the first quarter to first quarter. So good job. You can see your span and your quarters.
Over the 2 years, texts became more popular than calls did.
And what evidence do you have for them becoming more popular?
Because at the beginning, there were only 435 texts a month and 255 calls, and then by the end, there were thousands of.
Okay, so we had two claims. One was that the text is increased, and one was it became more popular, and it was backed up by the same evidence then. Good. How about giving me just some simple claims and evidence? Look at 1 quarter, and you see 2 numbers, right? So pick a quarter and a year, and then tell me something about that quarter and year, and then give me the evidence to support that. Who could do that for me? And you have to talk really loud because they're back there videotaping and they want the audio really good. Pick a quarter. Q1 of 09, okay, and then give me some evidence. Finish your claim. What's your claim there?
Like texts are bigger than, bigger than.
Okay, so more people text than call. And what's your evidence?
Because text got 2,099 and 2,899, and calls have 190.
Correct. So we just used the numbers right there, with the calls only having 191 and the text is 2,899. Could somebody pick a different quarter and a different year and give me a claim and give me some evidence on that?
In the second quarter of 2007, texting is less than calling.
Okay, so we have calling. Where's your calling? Okay, calling is less. That's should be 800. It looks like a 0 on your page, doesn't it? But that's 857. So calling is less, and you can back it up with those 2 numbers, right? Is your evidence. Good. Do you get the idea of what a claims and an evidence is? Okay, we're going to go on here then. I'm going to show you mine. And in 2007, teens text more than calling minutes. Go ahead and you can write this one down in your first box just like mine. And you guys might want to turn back around so you can copy and read off that. And you are already writing some of yours down. That's good. So my claims is just something that I know. Now this is how I know it, my evidence. That there's 435 text messages per month versus the 255 voice minutes. Now you do not have to write it in a sentence form. You can just write 435 texts versus 255 voice. I added this too, the difference between them. You could do just the top part, just the difference between them, or both of them if you want the most information. So when you're writing your claims and evidence, it does not have to be a sentence. It just has to be some quick thoughts. We'll make them into sentences later when we make our conclusion. What you're going to do now is, remember on that learning target, we said that we're going to write 3. Well, we've already written 1 together. You're going to write a second claims and evidence and a third claims and evidence. So think back what we just did together as a group when I asked for the claims and the evidence. And that's what I want you to continue doing for the next 2. Any questions on what I want you to do? Okay, I'm going to give you about 2 minutes to write this, so go right ahead. And we're going to share these with each other in our group when I tell you to. Okay, I said we were going to share our claims and evidence with our partners. And how we want to do that is, first of all, I want you to look at your partners, and whoever has the shortest sock, you're going to go first. If you have no socks, you have the shortest socks. Okay? So right now, I'm going to give you like 10 seconds. Look and see who has the shortest sock so I can give you the rest of the directions. Go. Rock, paper, scissors, quick. Okay, you should know who's going to go first now, because you're going to go to your turn to your assigned partner. The partner with the shortest socks is going to share first, and they're going to share in 30 seconds. You're going to share the 2 claims and evidences that you wrote, because we wrote the first one together. You don't need to share that one. And then when the timer goes off, the next person will go for 30 seconds. We have some groups of 3, so we'll have another 30 seconds go also. Any questions on what you're to do? 30 seconds is a long time, so don't think you have to go and say these things as fast as you can. Lots of time in 30 seconds that you can get out both your claims and evidence. Any questions? Okay, I'll set the timer. And first person, go. Let's go back, and before we get to our question, let's go back to our claims and evidence. Who would like to share claims and evidence that they have written? Go ahead.
I know that the number of calls decreased up 2 years.
And your evidence?
Our evidence is that the calls went from 255 to 191.
Thank you very much. Anyone else would like to share claims or evidence that they made? Would anybody like to have their partner read a really good one that they did? Your partner had a good one? Yes. Okay. Partner, read your really good one, please. Okay. Anyone else have a partner that had a really good one? Go ahead. Go ahead. Read one.
Text costs more than calls because people spend more time texting than talking, so it costs more.
What's your evidence for, what was your evidence?
People spend more time texting than talking, so it costs more.
Okay. I think what you're getting into right there is your reasoning behind this graph, because does this graph talk about any kind of money issues? No, but you just hit a really good one on why this graph should make sense, right? So you gave me a really good reason, and we're going to talk about our reasonings here in a little bit, but you gave me a really good reason why this graph looks the way it does. Okay, so we'll get to yours. How about another good claims and evidence your partner had? Go ahead. Go ahead, read one of yours real quick.
Okay. Texting has drastically went up in popularity in 2 years because at the beginning only 435 text messages were on average, and then at the end there was 2,899 text messages.
Great, nice job. So what you found out is you have to tell me what the graph means, and then you have to give me numbers to back that up. That's what claims and evidence is all about. So let's go back to our original question here about the correlation of this double line graph. Is it a positive, negative, or no correlation? And a lot of you were kind of like scratching your head going, I'm not sure which one that is. So let's take a look at this. Here's my definitions of a positive, a negative, and no correlation. Well, a correlation is just a relationship. A positive correlation means that both lines are going in the same direction, whether that be a positive direction or whether that be a negative direction going down, but they're both going the same way. A negative correlation occurs if one variable increases while the other decreases, and then a no correlation exists if the data points don't connect and are instead scattered throughout the graph. So take a look at your graph, talk to your partner really quick, and tell each other which one you think it is. Is it a positive, a negative, or no correlation? Go. Class, when I drop my hands, I would like you to tell me what the correlation is. Thank you. It's a negative correlation because we have the text is going up and we have the calls dropping slightly. So let's go to our conclusion. If you turn your white page over to the back, it talks about your conclusion. And this is what a good conclusion has in it. It equals a claims plus your evidence plus reasoning, which we already heard some reasoning here. I'll give you mine, but I think you guys have a better one. And these are the things that need to be in a conclusion. So on your paper, you have these 4 steps. And I think of those 4 steps as basically these are the sentences that need to be in your conclusion. The first one, you have to answer your question. Okay? When you're doing your labs in your science class, you're answering it's a hypothesis that you've made. You have to say whether you accept it or deny it, and then you have to answer that why. Then you're going to take your claims and your evidence. You already have the meat of your conclusion right here, because all you have to do is take your claims, your evidence, your first one, put it together and make a sentence. Take your second one, put it together, make a sentence. Take your third one, put it together and make a sentence. Have you thought much about this yet on writing a conclusion? No, because all your information's right there. You know what your answer to your original question is, and all your claims and evidence is right on your page. Then you're going to add in some reasoning why this graph looks the way it does and why it makes sense. And then you can add in what you learn at the end for a last sentence to wrap it up if you want. So this is what writing a conclusion looks like. I said you had to answer your questions. You had to have your claim 1 sentence, claim 2 sentence, claim 3 sentence, and a reasoning for it. So let's look and see how I put mine together. The graph shows that there's a negative correlation. So I just answered my question, which you already did. Claim 1, this is what we did together. In quarter 1 of 2007, teens spent more sent more text than sent and received calls because, here's my evidence, 435 text messages were sent per month versus the 255 number of calls. Now when I'm working with teachers in the county, this is the one thing they say they have the hardest time having their students put in their conclusions is that evidence. Do you see how easy it is to add those numbers in now? So you tell me what it is, and you tell me the evidence behind it, give me the numbers. So then here's my claim 2. It could have been yours. Then in quarter 1 of 2008, the number of texts increased to 1,514, and the number of calls, the number of calls dropped a little to 238. So my claim was, in this quarter, text has increased. My evidence was, here's my numbers. Okay? So in claim 3, the trend seems to continue in quarter 1 of 09. Do you see how I took quarter 1 of 07, quarter 1 of 08, and quarter 1 of 09? I wanted to compare something similar, so I wanted to make sure, just for me, you can do anything in your 3, but I just wanted to make sure I had each quarter the same one, quarter 1 of each year. The number of texts continue to increase. That's my claim. And my evidence is right there. There's my numbers. So my reasoning. This is why this all makes sense. This proves that the graph has a negative correlation because the texting line is increasing and the number of sent and received calls is dropping slightly. I think this trend will continue because my teens like short conversations with many people. How many like just have short conversations? Okay, I like your reasoning much better. Remember what your reasoning was? Tell everybody again.
Text costs more than calls, and because people spend more time texting than talking, so it will cost more.
Okay, so the calls will cost more. The texts, what kind of plans are you all on for your phones for texting? Unlimited, yeah. And when I open my kids' phone bills and I look to see they have hardly any voice minutes used, but they have a ton of text, number of texts sent and received. So I think I like your reasoning better, that because you can text unlimited, that you don't have to worry about going over the phone bill and increasing that phone bill for your parents. I know that's a huge concern for you, right? Yeah. It is. Okay, let's go back to our learning target. I can write 3 claims and evidence statements about a double line graph. Did you do that today? Yes, so we hit our target there. We didn't hit this target completely because you didn't write a conclusion, but do you see how the conclusion or the claims and evidence fit more into the conclusion, and you know now exactly what to put in your conclusion? Do you think this will help you? Turn to your partner and talk. How will using claims and evidence help you writing that conclusion go? Okay, let's bring it back to the whole group. Did you or your partner have a good reason why this would help you write a better conclusion?
Because since you already have it written down, it'll help you just kind of reword it into conclusion.
Yeah, do you have to stop then in your conclusion and think, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to have in here? Yeah, because it's all written down right there if you keep your claims and evidence right there. So the big push here is to use more evidence and use those numbers that you see. That's what we're trying to get you to do with this. Okay. Thank you very much. You've been a wonderful class.